Christmas if you're watching this at home right now and you don't even have to think about going back to work until the new year, or maybe you're going back to work a little bit before but you've got like a bit of holiday booked off. If the thought fills you with dread, keep watching, because I've got 5 really simple inspirational tips that you can put in place between Christmas and New Year to hopefully make your 2017 the year that you'd want it to be, one that you haven't got to dread. Hey guys, this is Sophie. So we are talking today about 2017, seeing as it's going to be here in a couple of weeks' time. I know it's not the case for everyone, but I feel that for most people, that holiday around Christmas tends to be a point in the year where we really sort of navel gaze at how the previous year has been for us, the things we don't like about it. We create things like New Year's resolutions, we want to lose weight, we want to sort out our relationships, and our jobs are very much part of that. Probably like for everyone actually, unless maybe you're part-time, but I think for everyone who's full-time, you probably spend more time working than you ever do at home with your family. So if there's something you don't love about what it is you do for a living, those negative feelings can really easily trickle down and infiltrate health, your happiness, your relationships, and everything that goes on around it. So it's really important to not turn a blind eye to the fact that you hate the job you do. You can change it, even though change can very often feel like a complete pain. It can feel like, oh my god, how am I even going to do this? It can feel like a lot of work before you've even got into it, but it doesn't have to. Point number 1 is to reassess what your goals are for 2017. If you've never done this before, it's sort of like creating a map, only you're going to be plotting in the destinations, not necessarily how you're going to be getting to those just yet. The key thing is to know where you're going. If you don't know what you're doing and you're sort of just like floundering and you're like, oh, I don't really like this job, but I don't know what else I'd want to do, how are you ever going to get to that next level? It's really important to have a direction and to have a goal. One of the things that really motivates me to do this is I'm like a stationery freak. I love pens and like nice paper, so I like to get like a really nice agenda and plot my goals in it. Now I personally plot my goals yearly, but I also do them for like a 5-year period, and then I'll relook at them quarterly as well, because sometimes life changes and you might think that you want something at one point and then 6 months on you're like, actually I tried it, it's not what I want, and there is a new goal, and that is totally fine. Point number 2 is to do with promotion. Now if you're working in a company that actually you don't mind, but maybe you just don't love exactly what it is that you're doing in that company, maybe you don't want a drastic change, you just want to change up what you're doing. Have you thought about asking for promotion? This is one of the most awkward things that I think most people dread having to ask for. No one wants to have to go to their boss and be like, oh hi, yeah, can I have a promotion please? Because no one wants to be told no. But the fact is, if you're well prepared and if you've done your work and your due diligence before you ask and you go along prepared, the chances are you probably won't be told no. And if you are told maybe a short-term no, your boss, if they're a good boss, will help you work your way to getting the promotion that you want. So what I recommend doing in this situation is to work out, put together a case study. Just imagine if someone went to you and they were like, hi, I would like that job paying that amount of money. You're going to be like, well, I need proof that you're deserving of it. Why do you think you're a good candidate for it? And a really good thing to do is to plot down all of the things that you've done over the last year, maybe targets that you've hit, jobs that you've done really well with, maybe if you work with different clients, any clients that have been like, yes, you did an amazing job. Pick out all of the great things that you achieved over the course of the year and set out a case study, a business plan as to why you are worthy for that job. Doing this homework before you go along and ask will make you feel more secure, because you're not just walking in the room blindly asking for something without proof that you're deserving of it, but also it will show that you're ready for that next step up. At the beginning of the year is also a really good time to do this, because it's like a fresh start. You can sort of go in there after the Christmas holidays, strike while the iron is hot. Work levels also, not in all places, but in most places, can be quite quiet the first couple of weeks back in January. So it's a really good time to go in there and to ask for what it is that you want. Just imagine doing that and it actually works out and you've got this promotion, you've got the extra money, the extra responsibility. You've already started the new year on a great note. Point number 3 is to do with if you want a total change. Let's say you're like, yes, I'm happy with the sector I'm in, but I'm literally done with the company that I'm working for. Between Christmas and New Year is a really good time to work on your CV. I know that might sound like a boring thing that you don't even want to think about, but don't leave it until the new year, because as soon as the new year comes along, you're going to be back in the routine of having to go into work. Then you're going to have like your 2 days off for the weekend each week, and you're going to want to do other things. Use the time between Christmas and New Year. Be ready to strike as soon as the new year starts. Between January and March are really good times to look for jobs. The job market can be pretty buoyant at this time of the year, because guess what? Other people are thinking the same thing. You've got other people over Christmas thinking, do you know what, I want to change. And so you've got lots of vacancies opening as different people move around. Also, don't forget your LinkedIn and things like Facebook. A lot of employers these days will check social media. Having a good up-to-date LinkedIn profile really works wonders. Very often you might not even realize it, but your Facebook will be set to public. And if you've got pictures of you sort of boozing on a Friday night or whatever it is you get up to, that might not look amazing for an employer. So just check your privacy. Point number 4 is for anyone who's maybe doing a job and you want a total career change, and this can actually feel like the most scariest thing ever. Let's say you work in accounting and you want to work in HR. It can feel really, really scary, particularly if you're fairly middle to senior in your career. Think, oh my God, do I literally just drop where I'm at to go into something else? But at the end of the day, if what you're doing isn't really fulfilling you and making you happy, and you're passionate about this other topic, then it's always, always worth looking into it. The first thing to do is to research the sector that you want to get into. Maybe speak to people that work in that particular sector and find out what it's really like. If it's a sector that exists within your current employer, let's say that you work for a large company and you want to go from marketing to sales, speak to your employer, speak to your boss and say, look, you know, I'm seriously considering this. Can the company give me any work experience in this area? Because you know what? You might not love it. Other things to consider when you're doing your research are also to look at things like qualifications. If you did move from what you're doing at the moment to a completely different topic, do you need to change your qualifications? What sort of experience would you be looking for? What's the pay like as well? Because this is another important thing. We need money to pay the bills. If you're living to a standard based on your current salary and you're going to have to take a hit in order to build yourself up in the new area that you want to work in. Point number 5, this is going to sound really obvious, but actually it's the most important point out of everything I've spoken about in this video. And do you know what? This is the one thing that most people fail on. Point number 5 is do not give up. If you've plotted down your goals for 2017, do not let it get to February and then drop them all. Honestly, keep chipping away at them. It might take you several months. It might take you several years to get to ideally where you'd like to be in life. But wouldn't you rather it take that amount of time than giving up and then this time next year you're still in the same job that you're not loving? It is always, always worth putting the time and effort in. I've got this sort of personal motto that I think 60% of life is based on the hard work, tenacity and effort that you put in. And the other 40% is already a path that's already been cut out for you. I really think that we often worry about, I know I want to get to that point, but I worry about how I'm going to get there. And I think you've already solved it by knowing that you want to get to that point. As long as you put in that hard work and effort, just trust that you will eventually end up there. And if you don't end up there, it's because it wasn't meant to be and you'll end up at another point. But I think the worst thing you can do is, if you know you're not happy, is just to leave it. Because this time next year, if you leave it, you'll be in the same position. And wouldn't you rather not? I really massively hope that this video has helped and inspired anyone who's watching this at the moment, and maybe you, and you know what, don't feel on your own. There'll be so many people that the thought of going back to work in the new year, or the thought of going back to work on a Monday after a Sunday, is dread enough. Use that feeling, use that emotion to drive you to get out of that situation that you don't like. Thank you all so much for watching, and before I go, I've just got one cheeky request that I feel really bad asking, but I've been nominated for a blogger award, and I would love it if you would please kindly vote for me. All you need to do is give your name, email address and then select a category. It's really simple, don't worry, they don't spam you. I will put a link below to where you can click to go and vote for me, but once again, I really, really appreciate it, so thank you in advance.